Hi, Mark Lee, founder CEO of Ivy Zen. Want to talk to parents of younger students, maybe sixth grade, seventh grade, and smart, ambitious, talented student, and you want the best for them. You want to challenge them to challenge themselves and really shoot for the moon, get the best education possible. Um, and one of the main things that parents run into as things get more difficult, things get more complicated, is how to overcome obstacles, how to talk with the student. There are a lot of different ways to do that, and one of the things that we tell parents to do is to, instead of being a parent, instead of being a teacher, try to be a mentor to them. I think the difference is that when you're a mentor, you're not really at the center. The mentee is at the center, and you're kind of off to the side, and you're being more of a coach. Um, that puts the responsibility of, say, doing, chemistry homework, or let's say geometry homework if they're in junior high, squarely on the shoulders of the student, not the parent. It's very important. That distinction is really important for a variety of reasons. But what I want to talk today about is problem solving. Um, One of among the many hobbies that I have, my main hobby is jujitsu. Love it to death. In the jujitsu MMA world, one of the best coaches out there, his name is John Danaher from New York. He trains people like Gary Tonin, George St. Pierre, the UFC champion. Um, and he has a degree in philosophy from Columbia. He's very cerebral. And I follow him on Instagram, and I saw this amazing. He's got amazing quotes all the time, but I saw this yesterday. Um, he talks about how fighters will come to him, professional fighters, and and they want to know, like, how can I beat my opponents? How can I they're too strong for me, or their striking is too good for me, or their sweeps are too good for me, or whatever it is. And what Danaher says, I'll just read it. He says, people come to me all the time asking what kind of attributes they need to develop in order to excel in jiu-jitsu. Conversely, they will also claim that they can never beat a certain opponent because they are possessed of a certain attribute that they cannot overcome. Thus do I get endless number of inquiries asking how to build certain attributes such as strength, speed, flexibility, mental toughness, blah, blah, blah. These attributes are all good and desirable and will definitely help your progress, but they are not the essential attributes I look for when appraising the potential of a student. What I look for can be said in a single short sentence. I look for hard-working problem solvers. Nothing more, nothing less. Um, when you see a list of the world champions, all different variations, you will see two things they all had in common. They worked harder and proved more adept at solving the problems in front of them in the time available than their opponents. Okay, so when I read this quote, I had a lot of different things that a lot of reactions to it, and I agree 100% with it. And I think this whole thing about problem solving, I think the really subtle and important and interesting point to it is not the skill itself, but the worldview, the attitude, the paradigm behind it. I think there are, if I were to generalize, grossly generalize people, there are the 80% of the world who we'll call them the naysayer problem solvers. And then there's a 20% that refer to them as the engineers. The naysayer problem solvers, they really think of it as a problem. Oh, that's a problem. Oh my God, we have a problem. There's a lot of negativity to it. And the idea or the worldview behind it is something bad happened and we're screwed, for lack of a better term. That's how a lot of people see problems. The engineers, they don't really see problems as problems. They see them more as puzzles. A problem happens and they say, oh, this is an interesting puzzle. How can we tackle this? How should we approach it? It's a very positive way to look at it. Okay. And I think it's the same thing. It's something that we want to use when we're interacting with our kids and with our students, but it's also something we want to impart to them. When they encounter a problem, they're working on geometry and the kid is really smart in algebra, smart in science, smart in all these things, but for some reason he's just getting a bad grade in geometry. And the typical response of well-meaning, well-intentioned, loving, caring parents is, what's wrong? What's going on? Why aren't you concentrating? You need to work harder, and blah, blah, blah. And whereas the engineers, the problem solvers, the positive way to approach it, it would be more like, well, let's take a look and see. So that's the first thing. Is like let's identify the problem, right? Let me backtrack a little bit. So the naysayers, their immediate response is, oh my God, we're screwed. We can't get, this is bad, and there's a lot of negativity to it. Whereas the engineers, their first response is, well, we just need to figure it out, and we'll figure it out. That confidence is such a big part of motivation. When you start off with negativity and we're not going to get through this and it's going to be difficult, immediately the students are going to lose interest. They're going to lose their motivation. Okay? It's critical that you maintain a positive attitude and instill confidence by saying, well, it's just a puzzle that we need to solve. That's all it is. Downplay the drama, upplay and enlarge, magnify the positivity, the confidence. We can do this. That's the first step, and it's not really a step; it's more of a paradigm. And so, take a deep breath before you even talk to your kid, your child, and then adopt the positive attitude and go. The second step is to go into it and identify the problem. Okay, so you want to sit down with them and say, let's see what's going on. Try to solve this problem and watch. Try to solve that problem and watch. Don't be judgmental. Oh, you're not concentrating. You're not working hard enough. You got to push through it. And why didn't you ask questions in class? None of that stuff. Let me get a tutor for you. Just observe. Don't make it personal, because it's not. It's just a problem. It's just a puzzle that needs to be solved. So why the puzzle is, why are you not doing well in geometry? And watch them, and unless you're horrible at geometry, you'll be able to figure it out. Or you can talk with a teacher and figure it out. Or you can work with a tutor, but watch and direct the tutor to try and figure out what the issues are, what the fundamental issues are. And, after a while, you will figure it out. You'll identify the problem. Oh, his foundations are really weak, but in class, they've gone past it, and he's trying to catch up, and his rhythm's all messed up, and he's trying to do more advanced stuff without having strong foundations, and he's jumping back and forth to different concepts. Okay, we identify the problem. Then, of course, the third step is to figure out a solution to that problem. And the whole time, you should adopt this attitude of, hey, no big deal. We can figure this out. Here's the problem, and don't get depressed about it or upset or anything. We all have our issues, and you just get over it, and here's how we're going to get over it. The hard work comes in after, because once you identify the problem, it's probably going to take repeated attempts, constant failure. Then you have to assess, and then try it again, and then repeat, and go over that over and over and over. And that's the hard work. That's where all the persistence and all that comes into play. In the beginning, that's not where you should be working hard. It's all about identifying and trying to figure out what the puzzle is. I think that if you approach I can't really think of any situation where this doesn't apply in terms of mentoring or raising an Ivy League bound student. If you take this approach, I think that it's going to help you a lot. Thanks for listening. Bye.